Hey everyone, and welcome to part 3 of my presentation of the Harmony Illustrated Encyclopedia of Rock. If you follow this channel, you'll recall how I specifically stated that I wanted to cover the bands that are featured in the special 80s section of this excellent book. In my previous episode, I managed to get all the way through the I bands and solo artists, wrapping up with Iron Maiden. So, without further ado, let's get into this. Cool? Alrighty. Say, if I could get you all to subscribe to my channel, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'd like to get monetized at some point, so if you could help me out, that would make my day. Thanks a lot. Joe Jackson. Yeah, good music here. Like most folks back in the 70s, I was introduced to Mr. Jackson through his hit song, Is She Really Going Out With Him?
Is she really going out with him?
Alright, says here, Joe Jackson's career encompasses 4 hit albums, as the printing of this book goes, and several charting singles. His first LP, Look Sharp, was released in the spring of 1978. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. It goes on, talks a little bit more. In the last paragraph here, it mentions, there followed a brief foray into reggae for Jackson. Now that I did not know. I didn't hear of any reggae songs from Joe Jackson, but, well, it is what it is. I do like how they have the song Steppin' Out in GTA 5 Online in the nightclub. The Black Madonna has it in her set. Cool. Rick James. I only know the song Super Freak, as most normies do. Weird how it was released in 1981, but was not mentioned in this book. Huh.
She's a very kinky girl, the kind you don't decline.
His song, Give It To Me Baby, and his collaboration with Eddie Murphy on Party All the Time are also featured in GTA 5 Online on Space 103.2. Nice. Unfortunately, Mr. James reached notoriety back in 1991 when he and his girlfriend at the time apparently, get this, kidnapped and tortured some young lady over several days. Jeez, really? He is also famous for this meme that's still being used all over the internet.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
In 2004, his fast living life came to an end. I never really got into his music all that much, but I think he'll remain a fixture on the music and culture scene for many years to come. Japan. Yeah, sorry, I never heard of these guys. What do we got here? It says, formed in 1974 at the tail end of the British/rock scene and modeled on hard-rocking Americans, the New York Dolls. Japan have since metamorphosized into premier electronics band, expanding themes blueprinted by Roxy Music circa the Brian Eno on synthesizers stage. Alright, well, I hope it worked out for you guys. Moving on. Billy Joel. I kinda disagree that Mr. Joel belongs in this particular section. Granted, he did have success in the 80s, but he was very popular before then as well. He was a big part of my 70s musical experience, and his songs were all over the radio stations. There are far too many hits to list here, so I'll just say that I'm a huge fan. Enough said. I remember when he and supermodel Christy Brinkley got married in 1985, and it was all over the press. She was the inspiration for his song Uptown Girl and was featured in the video. Gotta admit though, I got pretty tired of that song after a while. Anyway, Mr. Joel is still out there touring, so yeah, good to see that. Let's move on. Grace Jones. I'm not quite familiar with her music, to be honest. I mostly remember her from her roles in the James Bond movie, A View to a Kill, which was a terrible movie, by the way, and Conan the Destroyer, which was actually pretty good. Musically, I seem to recall that she did a cover of Demolition Man by the Police on MTV back in the day, but that's about it. Judas Priest, hell yeah! Priests were a huge part of my musical upbringing in high school. I'm gonna have to disagree with their inclusion in this 80s section because they were huge way before that. And this is weird, I really don't know why they labeled British Steel as a compilation album. What? Guys, it was another studio record. Their 6th, actually, and my personal favorite, by the way. By the looks of things, they're still touring. Check this out. They're out there with Saxon and Uriah friggin' Heep. Whoa. God damn, that should be a good show. Keep the flame alive, boys. Yeah. Next up is Corgus. Nope, never heard of them. Sorry. So let's see what we got here. In 1978, ex-Stack Ridge musicians James Warren and Andy Davis came together as the Corgus. Their first single, If I Had You, released in May 1979, became an immediate hit. You don't say. And was followed a month later by their debut album, The Corgus. And then it goes on down to the last paragraph here. Usually classified as a pop group, the Corgus prefer to think of themselves as having universal appeal, end quote. Well, I hope it worked out for you guys, because once again, I have no idea who you are. All right, cheers. Jonah Louie. Again, sorry bro, no idea who you are. Let's see, what do we got here? Looks like out of Brett Marvin and the Thunderbolts via Pterodactyl and the Dinosaurs. Oh boy, those are some winner names. Jonah Louie is a solo artist with Stiff Records, whose major claim to fame is a hit with a Christmas record with an exclamation point. This must be exciting. Okay, and then cruise on down to the last bit here. Stiff America released a compilation album. On the other hand, there's a Fist. Okay. Featuring a selection of Jonah Louie's quirky, offbeat, but very entertaining music. Okay, well, once again, Godspeed to you, bro. I hope you had success with that, but never heard of you. Light of the World. Well, we're 0 for 3 here. Let's see what we got. Until 1979, British jazz funk was not highly rated on the American side of the Atlantic. But Light of the World have gone a long way to change U.S. attitudes to homegrown British music. You don't say. Then why have I never heard of you? Their second album, Round Trip, had American audiences sitting up and taking notice. Really? I'm not too sure about that. And it enabled Light of the World to do the almost impossible, sell funk to the Americans. Yeah, like we never had funk in America. You ever heard of Parliament, Funkadelic, and all those guys? Whatever. Lynx. Oh boy, wow, 4 acts in a row where I got absolutely nothing. Alright, so who are these guys? Dave and Sketch are two black songwriters. Yeah, you have to emphasize black, right? From London, who formed Lynx in 1980 and self-financed their first recording, You're Lying. They produced 1,000 copies and marketed it through City Sounds, a central London record store. Okay. Their first album was Go Ahead in 1981, for which they added this guitarist guy. It kind of looks like the book here wants to really amp up these guys with the larger photos and things like that, but I don't know. Whoa, they broke up in early 83? What? Good God. Let's move on. Little River Band. Another entry that I really believe does not belong in this section of the book. I remember hearing them on the radio back in the 70s. Yeah, back in high school. And I gotta tell you, I really like their music. And I do remember how Night Owl was all over MTV in the early days.
There's a heart of a night out calling to be loved.
For such a famous band, I'm very disappointed as to how short their entry is here. I mean, just look at the list of former members. Holy cow. I think only Dexy's Midnight Runners has a larger list of previous members. You can check that out in my video that I did before this one. Madness, our first big act, according to the book, in this video. Once again, you can tell by the page coverage and the larger font in the headline. Yeah, I was quite late to the game with these guys. Like probably most of America, my first look at them was with their song Our House, which was released on MTV in about 82 or 83. I later heard One Step Beyond, and yeah, cool song. What else we got from these guys? Madness broke out of Camden Town in North London in 1978 to become one of the most original bands of the late 70s, presenting anarchic humor with a ska beat that they call the nutty sound. Bizarre? Yes. Hilarious? Absolutely. But Madness brought a welcome whiff of fun to the tail end of the punk era. Okay, yeah, right on. Holy cow, looks like they're still performing. Wow. Keep the madness going, guys. Cool. Matchbox. Nope, sorry, got nothing. So let's do a little reading here, see what we can find out. Rockabilly is enjoying something of a vogue, and one of the forefront bands in the revival of interest in what is essentially a music of the 50s is Matchbox. Country-flavored rock and roll is their bag, and their driving music is ideal for dancing, a factor that's very important when charting the rise of a band to popularity. Okay, and I gotta admit, it's a rather interesting group photo that we got here. I like how the drummer, Jim Redhead, looks like he just got off work at the warehouse and didn't bother to bring a change of clothes to the photo shoot. Look at this. He even has his name on his work shirt here. I can just imagine the photographer saying something like, just put your collar up and try to look cool, okay? Oh my god, this is just too funny. Let's move on. Mink DeVille. I have no idea who they are, but it looks like they were quite popular at CBGB's in the mid-70s and have a, quote, classic hit single, end quote, which I've never heard. Okay, good for them. Modettes. Yeah, got nothing. So let's see what they say here. The Modettes are one of a rash of all-girl bands who, unlike their 60s predecessors, rely more on their music than their sex appeal for success. You know, I'm gonna have to agree with the author on this one. Not very appealing visually, gotta say. Alrighty, moving on. Motorhead. Fuck yeah. Lemmy. Such an iconic figure. I'm actually only familiar with a few songs, and Ace of Spades, like most normies, is my favorite.
The Ace of Spades! The Ace of Spades!
But the impact these guys have had on the music scene is immeasurable. I've watched a lot of documentaries about Motorhead, and I really do appreciate what they gave to the metal genre. Yeah, we lost Lemmy in 2015, which was a real downer, I gotta be honest. We also lost Phil Taylor in 2015 and Fast Eddie Clarke in 2018. Hey, rest in peace, guys. Thanks for all you've given us. Cheers. Oh, I just remembered that I saw this on the subway a few months ago here in Guangzhou. I highly doubt that this old lady knows who they are, but still, it's a classic. Motors. Yep. Nope. Never heard of this group. Let's see what we got here. Andy McMaster, Nick Garvey, Bram Tchaikovsky. Wait a minute. I think I've heard that name before. Yeah, okay. Wow. I always thought it was a band name, not just one guy. Anyway, moving on, we got, they were formed in 1977. They were in another band before, gig of this, doing that. At the bottom here, the album features a massive wall of motor sound and should establish McMaster and Garvey as masters of the rock craft. Wait a minute. It says right here that they broke up in 1980. What the hell, book? Whatever happened to "we consider these performers most likely to be worth writing about, blah blah blah"? Good grief. Let's move on. Hazel O'Connor. Again, I got nothing here. So let's see. It says right here, checkered career isn't an adequate description of the activities of Hazel O'Connor until she emerged as a star of the film Breaking Glass. Oh my goodness.
She's been an au pair and painter in Amsterdam, a street theater actor in Paris while living with a French film star, a health food shop assistant in London, penniless in Marrakesh, a dancer, English teacher, and model in Japan, a dancer in Beirut while Israeli bombs dropped on the city, and a resident of West Africa.
Holy shit. A lot to pack into a few years if it's all true, and there's no reason to doubt it. Hazel finally got into music after a spell in the hospital with malaria, working with a group which found itself stranded in Germany. Back in England via Paris, it just goes on and on and on and on. Well, I hope that everything worked out for you. Terribly sorry that I have no idea of who you are. Well, after following a few links online, I found this. On Sunday, January 9th, 2022, Hazel was discovered at her place and was found to have suffered a serious medical event. She was taken to her local hospital where it was determined that she'd had a bleeding on the brain and that she should be oh my goodness. On Sunday, things were touch and go, and the next 24 hours would determine how her recovery may go. She was put into an induced coma for about 24 hours and brought out of it Monday evening. Whoa, dude. And has been showing a lot of progress, although saying that her recovery is going to take a while, but she is tough and is responding to stimuli and to treatment. so it looks like she's going to be okay. But wow, no news since 2022. Hope it all works out. Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, also known as OMD. I didn't really know about these guys until I saw a documentary about early British electronics bands, which does give a lot of good details. Y'all should check it out on YouTube. Good documentary. So I can't really say that I knew of them back in the day, and I don't remember any of their videos being played on MTV. I do like what I've heard from them, to be honest, so yeah, keep it going, guys. Teddy Pendergrass. Although I don't know any of his material, I really don't think he belongs here in this section. Looks like he's been around for quite a while. The book mentions that he had a car accident in '82 and is expected to continue his career. He did, and he retired in 2007. Sadly, he passed away in 2010. R.I.P., bro. The photos. Nope. I got nothing here, so let's see what they're all about. Says here, the photos sprang out of a Midlands band called Satan's Rats. That's a hell of a name. Which contained Steve Eagles, another good name, and Ollie Harrison, who had been at school together. Good for them. So forth and so on. The photo signed with CBS Records in August of 1979 and released a well-received first single, I'm So Attractive, which won them fans, as did their support work with Squeeze, The Undertones, and The Knack. Okay. Kind of interesting how the caption above the photo of the photos states, "The so attractive photos, who could well be groomed for stardom." Well, I got news for you, bud. Turns out, Wendy Wu, by the way, that's got to be one of the best names out there, to be honest. Wendy Wu left the band in '81 to be replaced by Shea Zuro. Oh boy. And the photos split up later that year. There you go, guys. Wu went on to release some generally poorly received solo singles during '82 and '83 and did other stuff. The photos reformed without Wu, although this lineup only released one single, There's Always Work, in 1983. Later, when Harrison had left the band, they reformed briefly with Angus Hines playing drums. Okay, Wu joined for a one-off gig at London's Marquee Club before finally disbanding, and this was in 1983. Steve Eagles became guitarist in Ted Milton's Blurt, good name, and later formed Bang Bang Machine. Oliver Harrison went on to become a filmmaker, so yeah, I guess there always is work if you're looking in the right places. Let's move ahead. Polecats, another rockabilly band from London, just like the previously mentioned Matchbox. Never heard of these guys either, so let's read up on them, shall we? Formed by four young musicians from northwest London in spring 1980, the Polecats are exponents of the old 50s rockabilly sound in 80s style. A tour of Germany and another of Finland, as well as many support and top billing gigs in the UK, have enabled the band to put down the foundations of a bright future, playing happy-go-lucky rockabilly with verve and skill. Well, since the book hyped them up so much, you know what I'm gonna do.
A few moments later.
Oh, it actually looks like they're still around. Well, time for me to eat some crow. I found a website listing them as still touring in small venues here and there. Huh. Well, alright, fellas. I hope you're having a good time. Police. Yes! Big fan of these guys, and I can see how they deserve the bigger title and page coverage. Definite superstars. I absolutely love their material, and I got a lot of their music on my computer. I still have my ticket and t-shirt from when I saw them perform in Macau back in February of 2008 during their reunion tour. It was during Chinese New Year, and I went with 2 Canadian friends. The concert was held in the Venetian Hotel and Casino, and I will never forget that experience. The auditorium had a horseshoe layout, and we were sitting over here on the side. The seats were good, but while the opening act were performing, I couldn't help but notice that the entire middle section was vacant. There were no people sitting in those seats. Completely empty. So I proposed that we hop over there during the break and see what happens. What's the worst they can do? Throw us out? Doubtful. If anything, security would most likely have us just go back to our original seats. No big deal, right? So we got more beers during the intermission, which we could actually take into the arena in a cup carrier tray thing. And we went to the middle section as planned. Again, there was absolutely no one in the entire section. I don't know why, but it totally worked out for us. The band opened up with Message in a Bottle, and I was on my feet from the get-go, man. It was so great. My friends were a bit more reserved and just sat there while enjoying the show, but I couldn't help myself. This was one of the greatest experiences of my life. I had an absolute blast. Kind of a funny thing here. When I got back to Guangzhou, my Chinese friends and students would ask me what I did over the Spring Festival holiday. I would reply with, I went to Macau to see the police. They would respond with, oh no, is everything okay? Yeah, no one in China knows about the police. I just remember that it was one hell of a great show. Okay, let's get to our final entry for today. Pretenders, yes! Another great band with a lot of fantastic songs. Chrissie Hynde is an absolute fox with an angelic voice, hands down, no arguments. Once again, far too many awesome songs to list here, so I'll just say I'm a big fan and I have lots of their music in my iTunes. I did find it hauntingly prophetic that the last sentence here reads, with this solid success behind them, the Pretenders, with focal point Chrissie, look set to make more impact in the early years of the 80s. This comes across as rather bizarre because unfortunately it's difficult to talk about the Pretenders without mentioning the tragic drama that happened within the band. Due to escalating drug abuse, Farndon was fired from the band after a meeting on June 14, 1982. 2 days later, Honeyman Scott died of heart failure as a result of cocaine intolerance. Holy shit. Farndon was in the middle of forming a new band when he was found dead on April 14th, 1983. That's less than a year. Oh, man. After taking heroin and passing out. Jeez. Farndon had drowned in his bathtub, leaving the Pretenders with only 2 living members. And from the information I found, Pete Farndon actually attended Honeywell Scott's funeral, but didn't talk with Chrissie or Martin. That must have been uncomfortable as hell, man. Jeez. On the bright side, they're still out there playing their butts off to entertain the masses. Cool. Way cool.
I shot my mouth off and you showed me what that hole was for. Now.
Well, that should wrap up another group of entries in this section of the book. Let me know what you think, and be sure to subscribe to this channel. Don't worry about notifications or nothing like that. Just help me get monetized if you could. If you'd like to toss me $1 or $2 in order to help me out financially, my PayPal information is in the description below. Until next time, keep on rockin'.